evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome here to another episode of Duckman TV. Got special guests on tonight, Jodie and Claire. So people might take a look at these faces, people. You might recognise them from shows such as The Amazing Race. And if you get around the dragon boat racing scene, you probably also recognise them from that. They are members of various dragon boat racing clubs and here to tell their story on how they got involved in dragon boat racing and tell everybody what it's all about. And we're going to talk about a couple of the adventures they had in The Amazing Race as well. Thanks for your time tonight, ladies. I appreciate it very much. I know it can be difficult making things happen, so it's good that you could make some time to be able to have a chat with me tonight.
Well, thanks for having us. It'd be good to share our story with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start off. How did you get involved in dragon boat racing? We'll start off with you, Jodie, and then we'll go to Claire. So how did you get involved in dragon boat racing?
Well, about 40 years ago or so, when I was a kid, probably actually longer than that, one of my best friends, her parents were dragon boaters, and I grew up on the northern beaches, and so I don't know where they dragon boated, but somewhere around there. And they used to go and travel overseas, and they went to all these various countries dragon boating. And I just was really interested in their stories and their travels. And I thought to myself, one day when I'm older, that's what I'm going to do. And so I saw it advertised in our local paper it's called the Bush Telegraph. So I saw it advertised there, but it was when my children were still a bit too young and I was doing Saturday sports, like taking them to those sports. So anyway, about 7 years ago, when they'd all grown up, I decided now's my time. I'm going to give it a go. And that's what I did.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. So I just can't believe, I'm trying to picture in my head. I didn't realise that dragon boat racing has been in Australia for that long, to be honest with you. So
yeah, I'm surprised. I would imagine it may have been one of the first clubs around. I don't really know about that, but it must have been around for a long time, I think. Yeah.
So I hope I'm not giving away too much about your age, but the fact you said that you've been around for 40 years giving dragon boat racing.
I'm 56 and very proud of it.
There you go. Good to embrace the whole age and love of the sport. So Claire, how did you get involved with dragon boat racing?
Well, it's Jodie's fault. So Jodie dragged me to dragon boating. I'd never heard of it. And I was like, what are you talking about? And it was funny because I was living on the river that it was being done. That's where they trained. And I'd never seen it. And I had these visions of these really strange, boats with these big oars and everything. But anyway, so I went down and had a crack and loved it. It was just amazing. So Jodie essentially got me into dragon boating.
Yeah,
I'm a bully.
So how long have you been doing it for now, Claire?
I started dragon boating in July 2016, to be precise.
Oh, there you go. You can remember.
I would have only been a month or something before because I dragged her along very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I think you'd only been a couple of sessions before you said, come on, you got to come. I was like, all right, well, she survived. I should survive.
So what dragon boat racing club are you involved in? You're involved in Hawkesbury, is that right?
The Hawkesbury River Dragon down at Parsley Bay in Upland on the Hawkesbury River. So that's where our club is. Beautiful down there, magical paradise.
And how many people participate in the dragon boat racing and are involved in the club?
Well, at the moment we have, I think it's 55 active members, and we did a big recruitment around about September last year, and we got 20 new paddlers, and they're all just amazing. They're doing great. And so we're just so happy to have grown our club a little bit, and hopefully we can grow it a little bit more as well.
Yeah. So I noticed it's a very dynamic mix too with the dragon boat racing. I've got some friends that did it, and one of my mates actually was in the New South Wales club for a while, and he just had to give it up from work. But he said, the mix was nearly pretty close to 50-50. I think he was involved with Pendragon. So I just sort of like the whole idea of it. So it's very dynamic, and they welcome men and women, and they all compete together, don't they?
Yes. It is. It's like a very inclusive sport. Claire and I have both paddled with a lady who's blind. We've paddled against people without legs. It's just an amazing sport for everybody, any age. We paddle with people who are in their 80s and they're incredible. People that are a lot younger, men and women together. It's really good that way, isn't it, Claire?
It's incredibly inspiring what, different people from different walks of life all come together, either for, a sport or friendship or water in the outdoors. So that's what I love about it. It's different people that come for different reasons, and we all get together, we compete, we have fun, make lifelong friends. And like you say, there's people of different abilities, different races, different genders, and it's great.
Yeah. So how many clubs do you compete against? Obviously it's not massive, but they've got more numbers than people are aware of around. So I'm aware of different clubs all around different places where you've got a bit of water. You've probably got a club that people don't know about or how to get in touch with it.
Actually, sorry, you go, Claire.
Sorry, it's actually quite mind-blowing when you think that we just had one of our regattas down at Darling Harbour, and there was over 3,000 athletes competing in that regatta, and they were predominantly from New South Wales, a couple from Canberra and a couple from Victoria, but then there were clubs that didn't participate at all. So when you think about, over 3,000 dragon boat members, and they're not all the clubs and all the members that just compete in one regatta, it's really exciting. So you're right. I think people that live near water or would have no idea that there is a dragon boat club around the corner from them, or a couple of suburbs away. It is quite amazing.
Yeah. So what do you need to bring to it if you wanted to get into dragon boat racing? If I decided tomorrow I want to start doing dragon boat racing, how often is your club meeting and other clubs meet? Is this like a weekly thing people can check out, or a bit less than that, fortnightly, monthly?
Well, that's one of the good things about dragon boating. It is a team sport, but you can also go in as an individual. So you can have your own individual goals of increasing your fitness or perfecting your technique, but also as a team when you compete clubs and things like that in the regatta. So it doesn't really matter. What do you think, Jodie?
Well, every club, like with how often they meet, is different. So basically our club meets twice a week, one day on a weekend and one after, during the week after work. Other clubs that have more members, they could probably do 3, 4, 5 sessions a week, depending on the size of their club. And it's really good because it's not like you don't have to commit, say, in our club for every Saturday. You go, you put your name down on the roster if you can make it that weekend, and if you can't, you just you don't. All you need to bring down there really is a pair of shorts, t-shirt. Guys typically wear that. Women wear a pair of tights or shorts and a club shirt and closed-in shoes. And when you come down and you're just learning, we have spare paddles that we supply. So really, you don't need too much. And also, I think for a sport, it's a very cheap sport. So, for example, our club fees for the year are $200, and we paddle all year round. And I think that includes insurances and everything. So it's a really good price, I think, for a sport. And probably most people, they could afford that for a year.
Yeah, it's very cheap compared to sports like football and soccer, where you're talking about $400 or $500 for registration for like 5 months, and then you got to buy a stack of gear to come with that. You're looking at in the vicinity probably like $1,000 realistically by the time you do everything. Yeah. So that's interesting. So
and hopefully a lot less injuries, less broken noses in football and broken arms and legs and things, and so hopefully it's a little bit kinder on the body.
Oh, that's right. I hobble around like I've been in a car accident. So that's from playing like 34 years of soccer and rugby union and stuff. So it's not the best thing on your body at all. So what sort of level of fitness do you require to be doing this? So obviously you need to get a bit of conditioning, because it'll take a little while to get up to like a decent level where you can be fairly competitive. Obviously you're going to have to learn what it's all about. I know a little bit about the principles of it because my mate was involved in it. So I know that it's very different to rowing and everything like that. But do you think it's really taken off a fair bit on the back of some of the success people like Jessica Fox have had with kayaking and all of this sort of stuff as well, and canoe slaloms with the Olympics? Has that been good for the sport?
I don't think so. I think they're totally different. I mean, they're in boats on water, but totally different techniques and styles, and more of a dragon boating is more of a team sport. Obviously, you've got 22 people on a boat. So I think it's grown because it's out there, like you said, in every town, every river, every town that has a river, there's a club there. And especially when it's in Darling Harbour and you've got so many thousands of people going through and watching, I think that has really grown the sport. And I think Claire and I, being that we were on the race, and millions of people have watched that thinking, what is that sport? I've never heard of it. So it sort of piqued, I think, some people's interest in the sport.
The only other sport that would be remotely similar to is outrigging canoe.
Yes.
Because you paddle the same way in an outrigger that you do when you drag a boat, because you paddle on the one side, you might swap sides, but you certainly do the same sort of thing. Whilst I am a bit of a Jessica Fox fan, and we both do like kayaking. But when people come on the boat, we often say to them, have you kayaked before? And they go, yeah, I kayak a lot. And you go, okay, forget that. It's nothing like that.
But the worst are the people that have canoed before.
Yeah.
Throw all them skills in the drain, they're useless now. So you're in my world now, sister.
Yeah, I think the thing that's quite unique about dragon boating is most people think it's just your arms and your shoulders and things, but it actually involves your whole body, because you use a leg drive as well as you use your arms, and you bend forward. So it's a lot more of a body workout than people do realise. And I think that's one of the good things, because it keeps you in shape and it keeps you fit. So you don't necessarily have to be the world's fittest person and like running and things like that. So it's not one of those sort of aerobic fitnesses. So you can definitely build that up.
And clearly, looking at Claire and I, we are not elite athletes. We may think we are, but we're not. And you get all sorts of abilities that come along, from older ladies to, younger men. They're all different. And some people have said to me, oh, I don't think I can join because I'm not fit enough. And we're like, no, come and join, because that's the way you'll get fitter. It doesn't really matter. Just come along and have a go.
Yeah, have a good experience and try something new. So
Exactly.
That's what I want to promote. Just it's something different. And I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say the Darling Harbour event was based around the Chinese New Year, the festival and all that sort of stuff.
You are a very well-educated man.
So how that would have been some sort of extraordinary thing, because I've done a bit of stuff doing deliveries and that in and around the city when I had the Chinese New Year festival, and it's pretty spectacular, really. So to be able to do dragon boat racing in a sport they love. Are there any Chinese teams in it talking about that, actually?
Not like, you mean from China?
But you might for the festival for the Chinese New Year, did they submit any teams that are like experts that they keep in the back of the shelf for the rest of the year, and they come out and just put on a display or anything like that?
No, not as in, I mean, there's a lot of people from all walks of life in different countries that do dragon boating, and there's surely enough people that are Chinese heritage or origin that do dragon boating as well. It's popular sport for them, and because traditionally, it's a Chinese sport that goes back thousands of years, and it's got a history, a great history for them in China. And at the Lunar New Year festival, they do have they have Chinese. The community comes out and they do their dances with their dragons, and they bless the dragon boat, and there's a tradition of eye dotting, it's called.
Oh, really?
And they come along, and they someone from the Chinese community comes along, and they, with a little bit of paint, they dot the eyes of the dragon on the boats, and it's symbolizes good luck and that kind of thing. So it's a really nice festival to go to, and lots of fun. And they also carried on into Chinatown with all their festivities, and they had an opening and closing ceremony. So it was a really good opportunity for people to get down and have a good time there. And also, you may not be aware that the dragon boating is really popular with breast cancer survivors. So,
Oh, really? Oh, no, I
yeah.
didn't know that.
So we competed on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday was the breast cancer survivors, and it's was promoted years ago by a doctor who thought that it was a very good sport for women to regain upper body strength. And so it's very, very popular with breast cancer survivors, and they typically are the pink teams, and they have these beautiful pink shirts, and it's really, really good to see them all out there having a go. And they're amazing athletes, and it's a great sport for all those breast cancer survivors to have a go at as well. And there are some clubs that specifically have a breast cancer survivor team in their clubs.
That's a really big deal to be able to do that, because it would be very empowering for women who have lost like a part of their body, right? So from some insidious disease which kills a lot of people. So to be able to get back the confidence to be able to go and do something again and have a lot of support in a group where that happens as well. So I think that's fantastic. They've got the opportunity to do that, and that it's got a big footprint in that as well. So do they have world championships in dragon boat racing?
They sure do. So Claire and we've competed at the Australian Masters, which a couple of years ago was in Adelaide, and Masters, so it's for old people. And over 40 you have to be to compete as a dragon boater. There's about, 40 to 50 sports that are represented there, and they've got their different age groups, but dragon boating, it is a minimum of 40. And Claire and I have had other opportunities, like we've been a couple of times up to the Pan Pacific Games on the Gold Coast. We've competed in New Zealand and Singapore, and probably one of the most exciting was in Hong Kong. And that was amazing. And I mean, honestly, you go to something like that and you see these most incredible athletes, and you look at them like, oh, gee, got no chance here. But what a load of fun that is. And in Australia, we have like a state championship. Claire's been chosen twice to be on the New South Wales state team. And then we also have the Auroras. The Auroras are the Australian team. And they've just gone through their selections right now. And they have junior teams. They have like the premiers, the under 40. Then they have like senior A, B, and C. So senior A's are 40 in the 40s, senior B's are in the 50s, and senior C's are 60s plus. And all of those people, they've just been selected. They'll represent Australia at the next World Championship. I'm not sure where it is for the next one, which country it's in. But they actually do really well. Like Australia comes away with quite a few gold medals. So they actually
I'm surprised the numbers are so big that they've got, or like even the senior competition. So like you think, oh yeah, you would have over 40s, and then to be able to field over 50s and 60s, like that's phenomenal numbers to be able to have that in a sport and have competitive sides. And geez, it must have been so difficult traveling overseas to all these great places.
Very, very hard. Claire and I never have fun when we go away together, do we, Claire?
Ever. It's terrible.
Absolutely torturous. So I'm sure you just sat there in a hotel room and went through the phone book to find some light entertainment and that sort of stuff, didn't you? So
exactly, never any trouble that we get up to at all.
Always an early night, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine the whole social element with dragon boat racing too is massive, because from what I saw, my mate was doing it being all inclusive. Everybody, they all went and mingled and mixed and did stuff afterwards, and I felt it was like a pretty good community sport to get involved with, as opposed to some of the other stuff I have been involved with in the past, where it's not quite like that. You have different experiences. So I'm going to take this down another track now. You two ladies were on The Amazing Race. How did that happen? How did that come about?
Over to you, Claire.
Well, funnily enough, the Amazing Race experience for us came about because of dragon boating. So basically, AusDBF, so Oz Dragon Boat Federation Australia, sent out an email to all the dragon boat clubs around Australia saying that the Amazing Race was looking for some dragon boat competitors to apply. But the funny thing was that it was, I think, 2019. So just before COVID, Jodie and I did apply to the Amazing Race. It was always something that we were interested in doing. And so we sent off a little video of just ourselves, but we never heard anything back. So when we got this little email from the Dragon Boat Federation, we thought, oh, why not? Let's have another crack. So I started to complete all the online requirements, and then I got a phone call of someone randomly just saying, oh, I've looked at your application, you've just got to wait on a video. I just encourage you to submit the video. And I said, oh, well, my friend's busy gallivanting around in a caravan somewhere, so I can't do it for another week. Anyway, we went down to our Dragon Boat Club and we filmed a little video and we sent it off, and then the next minute we get an email or something saying you've made it to the next stage, and we're like, what on earth are they thinking? Why on earth would they want two old crazy ducks like us? And then we kept going through the next stage, and then it was a Zoom meeting and a meeting with all the executives, and we're like, I can't believe it, but we were so excited. Like, even just to make it to that process, we loved it. Just each bit, we just kept going. And then when we were ready to go, we were like pinching ourselves. Oh my gosh, what's happening? So it was very exciting. So we did it initially that we wanted to do it in 2019. And then obviously we're encouraged with the Dragon Boat Club.
Yeah.
And then we had to have that big long questionnaire with the psychologist, and we thought, oh, we'll be out now. They won't choose us now. They'll know we're crazy. And they still did. Amazing.
So how did they tell you what you were going to be in store for when you got in it? Did they tell you you need to do this, you need to do that?
They tell you very little. They really do tell you very little.
Us nothing. They did not say there was going to be 10,000 stairs involved. No. Nope.
So did you go to Machu Picchu as well?
No. The funny thing is, well, first of all, like Claire was saying, when we applied, we found out later there was like 60,000 people that applied.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Massive numbers.
And I know now a few people I've met at different competitions, dragon boating, they say, oh, we applied. And so it's like funny talking to them and they wanting to know, what was our video like? What did we do? And I said, we did it all wrong. We didn't read the questions, what we were supposed to say. We just made up stuff, which was all wrong. But anyway, we still got through. But yeah, you're not told much at all. You arrive at a hotel and they send you to wardrobe, you get your uniforms and off you go. And from day to day, you actually know nothing. It's mentally and physically can be very tough. If you're not good at make changes, it's probably not a great thing to do. Like, you pretty much, you race all day and you have dinner, you go back to your room, and really at that point, you sometimes don't even know what's happening tomorrow. They might knock on your door and say, okay, be up at 5:45, ready to race. Oh, okay. But you, like, from day to day, you don't know where you're going, what country you're in, what you're going to be doing at all.
Yeah, so it looks like they actually attract a few quirky sort of characters. There's not too many. I've seen a few straighty 180 people are going like, I'm going to do this and this is going to be the way. Like, I don't think so. They're going to throw like a spanner in the works here, so this is going to be different.
Well, I can tell you something. The very first few days when Claire and I got to see who we're competing against, because we actually thought for a while it was going to be just all dragon boaters.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We got down to a meeting where we got to see everyone for the first time, and we weren't allowed to speak to them or anything at this point. And Claire and I are just like looking around the room like, oh my gosh, they're all young.
They're all in their 20s, they're fit. What on earth are we doing here?
Where are the old people? And then one man older than me walked in with his daughter, like, okay, thank goodness there's someone else who's old.
Yeah.
And we were quite shocked because like, how on earth are we going to run around the world chasing 20-year-olds? That was a bit of a mental struggle.
So you were starting to think you were going to have a bit of a Thelma and Louise experience or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. But look, we met some amazing people, like the contestants or even the film crew and the camera crew, but even the locals in the countries that we went to. We really enjoyed the relationships and friendships that we made along the way. And that really was one of the highlights of the trip, wasn't it, Jodie?
It really was. And there ended up being 20 teams. We didn't realize at the time we were a team of 10, like 10 teams starting from Melbourne. But what we didn't realize, there were another 10 teams that started from Sydney. And we spent the first day in Morocco racing in separate locations. We were down near the Sahara Desert and they were at Marrakesh. And so in the other lot of 10 teams, there was also the mums team. There's always typically the mums team who get out the first day. And so they had a mums team who did get out on the first day. So we never ever got to meet them. And then we merged as 18 teams on day 3. And Claire and I were like, oh my gosh, like there's 9 more teams coming up this hill. And we're looking for the old people. Like, surely there's some old people now in the next 9 teams. No, there wasn't. They were all 20s and 30s. And we're like, no. So now we were the mums to 17 other teams. So we were Mama Claire and Mama Jodie. And those young people were just so beautiful. Like, when we found things that were hard that were easier for them, they encouraged us, like, come on, mamas, you've got this. And when there were things that were hard, like age and being older and experienced in some things, like some of them couldn't drive a manual car and there were lots of car crashes, and they're like, mamas, how come you didn't crash the car? And like, kids were being like, we've been driving longer than you've been alive. So
and gardening, we had to do a gardening challenge.
Yes.
One of them's going, how do you pull out weeds and all sorts of things.
Really?
It's just brilliant. Yeah.
Well, there were big tarantulas walking across, at the same time as we were gardening. So the kids were pretty scared about that. There were lots of screams happening, and
that is absolutely, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it was
very funny. Tell me you can find some of the highlights of this online or something somewhere. Surely I want to look this up afterwards.
Yeah, it's all on 10 Play. If you go to 10 Play and look up The Amazing Race, all the episodes are there.
Yeah.
So you can.
They do have some shorts of some of the funny things. I think spoiler kind of things, but it is great. It was so good. Loved it.
So obviously you're offering a lot of mentoring and that some of the younger people, they'll be used to, I can do this physical challenge. When you give them something that actually constantly pushes them to the limit, they don't deal with things very well because they're not used to just that constant pressure always being there and knowing that you're going to be all right, you're going to get through this.
Yeah.
So there's a few fair weather people out there. Did that make it a bit easier from mental element? Did you play the psychology side of it to help get you through it?
I think we should have, because clearly we didn't. But I agree with you, because a lot of the younger ones, I mean, they live in this instant world, messaging, everything's instant. They know where each other are all the time. Gone are the days where you'd ring a phone, it would ring out and you go, oh, don't worry, I'll call them later. You know what I mean? So they knew everything. They wanted everything right now. So sometimes they didn't cope with not knowing when their next meal was or when their next sleep was, and they struggled a little bit with that, but we just loved them when we mothered them. So we kind of helped them rather than sort of planning on it. We weren't very strategic at all. We just loved them and mothered them, because a lot of them were our own children's ages. So we kind of just became the mother figures, helped them wash their clothes and pack them and dry them and all sorts of strange motherly stuff that we did. So no, we didn't really use it to their advantage.
And at the same time, there were times like I struggled some of the physical things and just out of nowhere, I remember running through Athens, the city of Athens, and we had to run about 3 kilometers to get to the next place, and our backpacks are heavy. I had a couple of broken ribs and big backpack on me, and just out of nowhere, one of the guys from the Northern Territory just came running up, and haven't even spoken to him yet. He just grabbed my hand and helped me, pulled me along, and no one had to do things like that. But we all did. Like,
Yeah.
they helped us, we helped them, and it was a really beautiful thing. It was like our teamwork, Claire and I, we really work well as a team, and I think that comes from already being in a team sport,
Yeah.
being older, and just cooperating with each other more, where some of the other teams would get angry at each other or yell at each other and all that sort of stuff. But we never did that. And I think that really helped us. The younger teams said afterwards, like, oh, when we saw you, we thought you'd be definitely the first ones out.
Yeah.
And they were so shocked. It was just like we kept going and going and going.
You're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing. If I had done that with my wife, I can tell you now, it would have taken 20 minutes and would have been getting into it. It's like, this is not working. So,
I said that to
100%.
my husband. I could never have done this with you because it would not have been pretty.
Oh, yeah. No, it's great. So, what was the most interesting experience or challenge that you had to do while you were doing the Amazing Race?
Oh, interesting. Watching Jodie do parkour was fun. Who would think that 56-year-old could do a tuck and roll all over the roof of a place in Santorini? That was great. I think the toughest one really was the stairs with the donkey at Santorini. Jodie really struggled with that, to the point that I thought we were going home. I thought she was going to pull out. I didn't think she was going to be able to do it. She just took one look at it and just went, no, I can't do it. And I just looked at the producers and it was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And, she honestly, I cried when we finished that leg because I was so proud of her. Like, it was tough, but she did it. It was amazing. But she still talks about how much she hates it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's put me off Santorini because we had this clue and it said, make your way to some chairlift. And you had to go down this chairlift. And as we're going down, I can see like, a million stairs up the side of a mountain. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to make us walk up those stairs. I know it. And it was overwhelming. It was the most ridiculous amount of stairs going up the side of a cliff. I think there was like 600 or something, wasn't there, Claire?
I think it was closer to 800. Maybe.
Okay, it was horrible.
I'm not sure. There was a lot.
And when we got off the chairlift, there's a donkey at the bottom, and they said it was the donkey's day off. So we had to take a donkey to the top, up these hundreds and hundreds of stairs, whilst we were carrying the donkey's luggage, as well as our backpacks that weighed about 15 kilos on our backs.
Yeah.
And I just looked up there and I thought, absolutely not. I said, and I'm saying, you Amazing Race people are just cruel. There's a perfectly good chairlift. I could put the donkey in there. Why would you make us do that? That's ridiculous. I was in a very bad mood.
She was grumpy.
Yeah. So Claire loves animals. So she was in charge of the donkey. I had the donkey's suitcase. Claire had a big wreath around her neck and some big long thing on a stick, and off we went. And honestly, without my little buddy Claire, I would not have gotten up that hill. And all I remember her saying was, one step in front of the other. And that was the thing that got me up there. I just kept thinking in my head, okay, one step. And every time that donkey stopped to try and eat a bit of grass, I was like, yes, donkey, eat as much as you want. And really, for me, that experience and the whole Amazing Race experience was we are capable of so much more than what we think we are. And it's in your head, and you can do that stuff. You can, but it's a mind game.
Yeah, this is what I really like about the Amazing Race, because the teams do work together, right? You'll get some that unravel, but I don't like Survivor. Survivor's a bit nasty, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't like that. That reminds me of high school a little bit too much.
Yeah, so true.
But I like that the Amazing Race. They try to work and challenging against each other, but you'll ultimately dig in with the other people you're competing against, because you're not directly competing against them, right? It's all trying to work together to achieve the same common thing ultimately.
not really. Well, yes and no, because at the end of every single day, whoever's last to the pit stop, they're eliminated. So as much as you do help people when you can, You've got to remember that if you're last, you're going home that day.
Yeah.
So even with that, though, I mean, people were very helpful, weren't they, Claire?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. I mean, the majority of people were very helpful and kind. There's always that little agenda in the back of your mind. If you come first, you generally win a nice prize as well. So there was a little bit of argy-bargy for that first across the line. But those that were sort of knew that they were going to be somewhere in the middle, they tended to help you a little bit more. But we were all really sad to see each couple go at the end of each leg. And it affected us all because we did sort of bond so much. You're far away from home and you become great mates.
Yeah. So how long was the whole experience for, like time-wise, days, weeks, months?
Well, it's funny, when you go on this journey, you're told that it could be up to 6 weeks, but you could be gone for 3 days. So you don't know. And you're not allowed to tell anybody except for your family. And it's very awkward. Like for Claire and I, we had to ask our bosses for time off work. And it's basically, what can I need to take some time off. I could be gone a week. I could be gone 4 weeks. I can't tell you where I'm going or what I'm doing, but can I have that time off? And so I thought, being, old girls, that we'd probably get out maybe day 1 or maybe day 2. And so in my head, I'm thinking, we'll be back in a few weeks. Well, we weren't. We were gone for 6 weeks. And
so much that she only booked 6 weeks. She had to then get someone to email her boss to say she needed another week off. I was like, how rude. I can't believe that you underestimated us that much. Rude.
Well, when we just didn't want to get out first, right? No one wants to be the first team out. And the very first day we came 6 out of 10 teams. So we were so happy with ourselves. And then, so we think, okay, well, that's great. We didn't get out first. So let's try and make it to at least 3 days of competition. Well, that came and went. And then Claire said, let's get to another country. And we did. We went from Morocco to Greece and did 3 days running around Greece. And then Claire goes, I want a third country. All right. So then we made it to Turkey. And then I felt like she was just getting a little bit selfish now because I was very tired. And then we made it to the next country, to Belize. So we went far. Like we ended up, after we were eliminated, there was only 1 week left of the competition. So, we did very well.
So if you hadn't gone on the Amazing Race, would you have had the experiences and traveled to all these countries just on your own? Would you have ever gone to Belize or to Greece or Marrakesh in Morocco or anything like that?
Well, I've traveled a lot, and I can tell you, Morocco has never been on my radar. Belize, absolutely not. Turkey, no. But yes, Greece, I mean, that's quite a common country for people to be tourists at. But saying that, Morocco was the most beautiful country, like absolutely incredible. Turkey was also beautiful, and Belize, what an amazing country with the most lovely people. And we also went out to an island in the Caribbean called Key Corca. Oh, that was incredible, that place. So I would never have gone to those places. Would you, Claire?
Oh, I feel so incredibly lucky and so privileged to have had the opportunity experiences that we did. Like Jodie, I had not planned any time to go to any of those countries apart from Greece. But all 4 of the countries that we were lucky enough to visit were very different for different reasons. And honestly, it was just magic. It was wonderful. It's not the same type of holiday you could ever plan yourself because it's sort of on steroids or fast forward, because you don't get to stop and smell the roses and, go and look at things. And, you're driving a car and on the wrong side of the road and following a map and trying to, work it all out and looking for other teams and looking for red and yellow bloody flags to see if you're in the right place and all these crazy things. And but some of the time I know, particularly during Belize, I was like, just while you're driving, have a look over there at that mountain, or just go pinch yourself. This is amazing. So it's a very different experience, but one that I am incredibly grateful to have had.
And I think
Absolutely.
too, a different thing for Claire and I, being older people on the race, we had a bit of a different agenda, I think, than some of the young ones. The young ones were just they'd run from A to B as fast as they could. But Claire and I, we called ourselves the amazing walkers. We made sure the producers knew that we were the amazing walkers. And we did tell the producers it wasn't because we weren't fit or young. It was just because we were kind to the camera and the sound person, and we didn't want them to have to run so fast. But we actually did stop and smell the roses. Like, we stopped and we talked to locals. Claire stopped and pet every dog or cat she could find. And we really, I think, we took it in more than anyone else on that race. I think we did stop and enjoy where we were in the moment that we were in.
Well, I think you need to, right? Because life is very short and it can be gone in the blink of an eye. So people miss these things now because the whole world is like fast-paced. Everything's fast-paced. Like I said earlier, everyone wants everything now, and people miss stuff. You drive past the most beautiful scenery and things because you don't open your eyes and look what's around. You're too focused on whatever you're doing. 100%. Yeah, stuck in your phone.
I'll tell you something. When we left Australia, we had nothing of our own excepting a couple of pieces of clothing, because everything else was their clothing that Kathmandu sponsored us, and so we had all their clothing. But we had nothing of our own, really. We had a passport, we had toiletries, and that was about it. That was ours. We had no phone, we had no money, we had nothing. And I'll tell you, it was really nice not to have a phone for 6 weeks. It was quite a lovely, liberating feeling, wasn't it? Like, it was just amazing.
Look, I mean, obviously you thought about your family every now and then, and what's happening back in Australia or what's happening, at work, and you have the fleeting thought, and then you're on with the next thing, and you completely forget about everyone. But it really was nice just living in the moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I really, really cherished those 6 weeks without all of that other stuff that goes on in your head and at work and families and it's just everything. It was a real nice getaway.
Yeah,
that's good.
From reality.
So we're going to bring you back to reality now with dragon boat racing. So if new people want to come into dragon boat racing, how do they get involved with the club? How do they reach out and get in touch to come and try it or join up or anything like that?
Well, we would absolutely love anybody to come down and join us. We paddle out of Brooklyn. We have a Facebook page called the Hawkesbury River Dragons. We also have an Instagram page. And if anyone was to go on those pages, they would find our email address where they could send us a message or an email, and we'd get back to them. We do have 3 try for free days, so they can come along and see if they like it. We also later on this year will have a 4-week Learn to Paddle program that we will put out. We haven't got the dates for that yet, but even without those dates, anyone can come along at any time and give it a go. Claire is our head coach, and she is also our head sweep. So she is amazing at, showing people what to do and making them comfortable.
Yeah.
So, that's how they'd get in contact with us, and we'd love it.
And most of the clubs, all around, New South Wales and Australia, they all have Facebook pages. So, I guess all you have to do is type up, dragon boat clubs. And so for anyone around Australia, if you're interested and get into it, it really is a brilliant sport, and you'll be pleased you did.
Yeah.
And actually you can, in New South Wales, you can go on Dragon Boat New South Wales webpage, and there's a little tab on there that says find a club. So you can type in where you live and it will let you know what your closest club is.
Yeah. So I've got one last question to wrap it up with. Did you ever think the day you started doing it that you would get to where you are, have the experiences you've had, and enjoy? It sounds like you're enjoying your life incredibly, which is a fabulous thing.
Absolutely not. When Jodie said to me, you need to come to dragon boating, I was like, what on earth is that? That sounds disgusting and ridiculous, and I'm doing nothing of the sort. And I even remember my mother saying, you'll hate it. And too funny, never looked back. I just think it's not just only the sport and the friendships, but it's the life opportunities that I've had. I mean, going overseas and traveling and competing and representing Australia, and obviously, being in the amazing race which came about through dragon boating. For me, being a sweep and a coach, they're extra skills that I've never had. And for me, I have quite a complex job. So for me, it's a great way to unwind. I go on the Hawkesbury River and I paddle or sweep, and all the fears and worries go out the window, where I really do have me time and wind down. And so I am incredibly thankful to the sport. It has changed my life.
Yeah. What about you, Jodie?
Oh, absolutely. When I started, I had no idea of what was to come. And I mean, I would hope, because when I was a kid and I saw my friends' parents travel, I was hoping that maybe that would happen, but in no way did I think Claire and I would get to the countries and win these medals and go on the amazing race. And also, Claire and I have met the most amazing people, and we've got such a great friendship circle through people at dragon boating, and we're always constantly having fun or going away or camping or whatever. Like, we just really have a great time together.
Yeah, that is really good. I really love it. I think the stories are fabulous, and I think people will have a very good time if they can come down and try dragon boat racing, have some good experience as well, make some good lifelong friends, which is an important thing too. I care about people's health as well. So when I see people have healthy lifestyles, where to go out and be active. You don't have to run marathons. You can do all sorts of things to stay fit and healthy.
So, Duckman,
Ladies,
when are you coming down?
Oh, I'll give it a try. So 100%.
We'd
I'm a
love to
bit
have
early
you there.
conditioned myself. Yeah, I'll come down and do it. I'll have a look. I'll get in touch with you after this, because I
Okay.
will make some time to do it. And I can tell you, it will go on YouTube afterwards. I will be blowing it out hard. My fitness level. I coach a rugby union team too. I'm focused on fitness stuff. I can't do what I ask the guys to do anymore.
I love it. Go.
Actually,
Well
how
done.
about you just bring the whole rugby team down?
That might be pretty
that's
good.
a great idea.
Yeah.
That would be so
well,
much fun.
Punishment.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's something to look at, to try to have team bonding experiences where all the guys got to work together. It might be a good experience for everyone. So
Definitely.
Absolutely. We're
Yeah.
happy to facilitate that.
Absolutely. Ladies, thank you very much for your time. It's been a lot of fun, and the stories are magnificent. I'll go through and process this and get this onto my YouTube page and give you a copy of the podcast, and it'll go on Pulse FM as well on air. And you'll see a story that will come up about this in the March edition of the Hills Independent magazine. So thanks for your time. And everybody, keep on ducking, keep following Duckman TV, and there's going to be plenty more content like this. So thanks again. It has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed myself.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you
so
so
much for
much.
having us.
Yeah, no worries. It's been my absolute pleasure. Thanks, ladies.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.